Every parent's dream of giving their children the best. A home filled with love, security, and safety. What happens when one crucial piece is missing? She chose her dream home, but in the midst of the excitement, she overlooked something that will make her son to pay the heart-breaking price. This is the story of a family whose dream turned into a nightmare because of one overlooked decision. Stay tuned. Let's find out what went wrong together. I remember vividly, like it was yesterday. Everyone was quiet when it was time for Miriam's son, Additional, to eulogize her mom. He was standing there, holding his scripts in his hands. He tried to say those words, but it's as if he was mumbling. Words wouldn't just come out from his mouth. I saw tears flowing down his cheeks. Then this elder, a man, I think he should be the assistant pastor to Miriam's church. He was standing next to Additional, Miriam's son, and he held his hand straight, held young Additional on his shoulder, as if to console him. After what seemed like an endless time of silence, Additional managed to say a couple of words to eulogize this mom. And at the end of the words, when he mentioned, "Mom," these particular words, and I quote, "Mom, I love you so much, but why did you leave so soon?" And then he burst out in tears. He was crying aloud this time. And for some reasons, everyone just joined him in crying. I was in goosebumps all over. And it was such an experience on that fateful day. We went back to 2010 when I first met Miriam. She was working at the bank back in Lagos, Nigeria. And I happened to meet her in the bank when I went to make a transaction that needed a manager to sign in order for this transaction to be processed. And then the teller that was handling my transaction directed me to a table at the back where I could sit with the manager for the approval of that transaction. I eventually went to meet this young dark woman, and she was very welcoming, very nice. She has a personality that when you meet her, she leaves a bit of herself in you. You want to get to know her more. She was so friendly and so nice, and she goes the extra mile to make sure you are okay. Her personality made her become so popular in that particular branch that all the customers that come to the branch, they all want to get to know her. She was also popular among her colleagues and staffs in the bank. Such a nice person. Fast forward to 2022, the summer of 2022. Just right after the pandemic, Miriam finally got answers to her Jackpot prayers. She found herself in Toronto, in Canada. She was so excited. She has always wanted to Jackpot from Nigeria, so she migrated to Canada. Before coming to Canada, Miriam has actually grown a career in the banking sector all the way to a senior manager in the branch. She has almost 2 decades of experience working in the bank. She came as a whole package. It was no surprise that upon her arrival in Canada, it didn't take her such a long time before she was able to bag a good paying job somewhere in Ottawa, the capital city. I actually reconnected with Miriam in one of those networking events organized by the community for Black entrepreneurs and job seekers to connect. I met Miriam through a friend this time, Homebuyer, who's not a colleague of mine. By the time, we're just getting to meet each other. Like, I've seen this face before. We were talking and we eventually found out that she was the same Miriam from the banker branch in Lagos. And it was an easy connect. We all exchanged contacts and we scheduled an appointment and we get to see. Upon meeting with Miriam, myself and Homebuyer, so we had a discovery conversation with her. We get to know how long she's been in the country, what made her to leave, what are her future prospects, what are her aspirations, what does she hope to achieve by coming to this part of the world. and juxtapose that with what she had behind. So we got to learn from the discovery that Miriam's actually migrated to Canada just to escape an abusive relationship. And her hope is to settle down in Canada so she can get her son to come join her. After the discovery, Halabi introduced her to a financial education program and get her a life insurance protection just in case. It didn't take long before Miriam left Toronto because she has found a job in Ottawa, and then she relocated. Mind you, Ottawa is about 5 hours drive from Toronto, where she first landed. While she was there, she quickly settled in with her years of experience. She quickly fit into the tech world as an IT expert, and she was able to grow so fast in that space. I'm sure as a brilliant chap with lots of experience, she had to bring them to bear in this space. Sometime in 2023, I got a call from Adebayo, and he said, "You know what? This lady just called." I said, "Whose lady is that?" He said, and he mentioned Miriam. She wants to cancel her life insurance policy. For real? Why? And he said, Miriam says she's looking to buy a property on mortgage, and she's looking also to pull in resources from everywhere and anywhere she can, so she can have money enough to put as a down payment for this property, which is a dream home. Our intention is to buy this dream home property and get her son to come from Nigeria to come live with them so they can live a good life. She just wants to get off a bad experience from a marriage over with. I said, oh wow. I got on the call with her too as an acquaintance. I don't think of other ways to come up with resources. We spoke to Miriam, trying to make her see reasons why she should keep a life insurance policy intact and look for other means to solve the problem, which was very, very important to her, getting a dream home. I think she already had her mind made up. After several months, we didn't hear from her. So at one point in time, back and forth, Adebayo tried to reach her to see how she is doing and where she is in her decision. But for some reasons, he didn't get a call back, no response to messages that he sent to her. Sometime in 2024, Adebayo told me he met Susie in a complex. And Susie is a mutual friend of both Adebayo and Miriam. They exchanged pleasantries, and he asked, "What about Miriam? It's been a while. I've tried to reach her, but I couldn't get a response from her." And he saw the expression on Susie's face, like, "Haven't you heard?" Like, heard what? Miriam passed. Oh shit. How? What happened? She passed just 3 days after her son came to Canada to join her. And Susie was even planning to go to Ottawa the following week to witness the funeral procession. So Adebayo told me, and we got hold of the invitation and also made plans to pay our last respects. So can you imagine? 3 days after her 17-year-old son came to the country and she passed. And she hasn't even bought the property yet. And she has cancelled her insurance policy and has all her cash stashed up in a bank savings account. Now, here's the problem. The probate has kicked in. What the probate does is, when someone dies, it triggers the probate system and an administrator comes up and they put a freeze on the bank account pending when a probate proceeding and the hearing is being delivered to the bank. That's when they can open the bank account. In this situation, all her assets, everything in her name is brought before the probate, and all her liabilities, all the debts that she owes, from the car notes to her credit card debts and mortgage if she has one, whatever debt, even if she's owing the government, the student loan, everything goes through the probate system. And then they administer over it and a judgment is placed. So that's where they balance your asset and liability, and whatever this is remaining is what goes to the beneficiary of their account. And in this case, although she hasn't bought a dream home using a mortgage yet, but she has already locked in her money in a bank account which has been frozen. So this is where it gets worse. Her son, 17-year-old boy, a teenager, just got into town 3 days after, and the mom passed. So how is additional, a boy of 17, going to cope right now, knowing full well that he's new in the country? So how psychologically, how is he going to cope? How is he going to manage the final expenses for the funeral without a life insurance concierge plan in place? Knowing full well it costs between $10,000 to $25,000 for final expenses before a corpse can be interred. So how is he going to cope with living in that house, the rental property where the mom currently lives before she passed? What legacy has Miriam succeeded in passing down to his son? What will she be remembered by years down the line? So, you see, by cancelling a life insurance plan, Miriam has indirectly missed out an opportunity to transfer the wealth that was created in life insurance to her son, the generation after. I know you might be saying, of course, she didn't know she was going to die so soon. Of course, no one knows when the time will come. But what everyone should know is no one is going to live this life alive. So why kick the can down the road? Now, Miriam has passed and life has to go on. But are there ways Miriam could have avoided the probate? The answer is yes. With the life insurance, she could have avoided the probates. The death benefits could have bypassed the probates. And also, if she had a trust in place, that also could have bypassed the probates. Now, life has happened and we have to face the reality. Miriam has done her part, she's gone, and there's a 17-year-old son that has to face the reality of life. What could an insurance plan in place have done for a 17-year-old, bearing in mind he's not yet an adult? Let's look at a number of things that could have happened differently. Without life insurance, a family may struggle financially because there are a lot of expenses that Miriam was taking care of as the breadwinner. But now that she's no longer there, who's going to bear the brunt? If she had a life insurance in place and she didn't cancel the one she had, from the death benefit payments that would have been paid to the son, he would have received significant amounts of money as a 17-year-old without a mother, the breadwinner, around. The son, additional, has a lot of expenses, has to be taken care of. First, they need to take care of the final expenses, the cost of burying the mom, also costs of medical care, because it's going to have some psychological effects of the passing of the mom in a strange land that he just arrived 3 days. And then he's going to be living with a guardianship. He can't stay by himself because he's a minor, he's 17-year-old. The age for majority in Canada is about 18 years, so he becomes an adult. But as a 17-year-old, he has to stay with a guardian. There's going to be expenses for the guardian. So in order not to overburden the guardian with so much costs, the life insurance would have provided additional support for that task. Number 2, funding for education. 17-year-old needs to go to school. Now that the mom is not there, there's going to be a challenge. With a life insurance payout, there would have been sufficient money that can be allocated towards this college education funding, or even if it's a vocational training or whatever alternative education that he might wish to pursue. There would have been enough funds, because education is not cheap. You want to have books, you want to have other materials, and even travel expenses. So this would have taken care of that, just so we make sure the kids is not cut out of the opportunities that education would create for him in his future. Number 3, living expenses and ongoing care. So as a minor is going to be living with possibly a stranger, a guardian, or a relative that will be nominated to be the guardian of this child until he becomes an adult. But in the time being, he's going to be staying with someone as a guardian, whether a stranger or a relative. But there's going to be some expenses that will be required to make sure that he's able to sustain while he's living with these people. Life insurance would have provided that additional income without putting a strain on the income of the guardianship. Number 4, access to mental health and counseling. The loss of a loved one can be very traumatic. Such an experience for a teenager or a child can even go overboard. At a time like this, there's going to be counseling to help that child to live through this experience and be able to come out of it holistically. And this is going to incur some costs from professionals. If there was a life insurance, with the payouts from the life insurance, the family or guardianship would have been able to allocate certain funds towards paying an expert counselor or a physiotherapist to help the child to get back to wellness and overcome the trying times. And that brings us to number 5, establishing a trust for the child for his long-term savings. For a child at 17, he wouldn't have been able to receive a lump sum payment as death benefit from the insurance company. So the insurance would have set up a trust in his name and pay the money into the trust. Let's say the death benefit is $500,000 or $1 million. That was the death benefit from the life insurance. There's no way the life insurance would hand that money in cash over to a teenager at 17. But what they will do is set up a trust account on behalf of the child or through the guardianship and pay that whole money into that trust. Structure the payment in such a way that the child gets money from that trust to take care of all their living expenses. And when the child comes of age at 18, the child can now be able to assess the trust and make plans or sit with a financial advisor to help structure a proper plan on how to go about the money in that trust. Number 6 is debt repayments. So the payout from the life insurance would have assisted the family to pay off the debts that they had. Let's say they have a mortgage. With a payout from life insurance, they can pay off the mortgage and have outright ownership of the house. Let's say they have a car notes payments, a car loan, or credit cards, or any of the loans of credits that the family owes. With the payout from the life insurance, they would have been able to pay out all this without affecting the money that Miriam had saved up in a savings account, which has to go through the probate. They would have helped preserve that money by paying out all the liabilities and still have access to money from the proceeds of the life insurance they would have received. And that brings us to number 7, preventing financial hardship to the family. In this case, additional 17-year-old boy is going to go through a lot of hardship, whether he's staying with a guardian or even when he leaves the custody of a guardian and wants to start life by himself. But with the life insurance in place, this financial hardship would have been prevented because he will have access to a pool of funds where he can structure his financial future properly, be able to attend the best schools. We have an investment account set up for him from the proceeds of the life insurance and be able to focus on the things that matters most to him as a child. So you see, these are 7 benefits of life insurance that are not popularly discussed. So if you have any question about this, go to the comment section and let's hear your thoughts. And if you know of any other benefits that can be gotten from life insurance in a situation like this, Let us know in the comment sections. Let's know your thoughts. And if you know anyone that has had an experience similar to this, whether or not they had a life insurance, go to the comment section, share your thoughts with us, share your story. We want to know how they were able to come out of this situation. Wow, what's a powerful story. It's heartbreaking to think that something as simple as overlooking life insurance could leave a family in financial turmoil. If there's something we can take away from this, is the fact that life insurance isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. The price of waiting or neglecting it can be devastating for those left behind when the unexpected happens. So whether you're planning to buy a home, starting a new family, or just thinking about your future, protecting your loved ones should always come first, no matter where you are in life. It's never too late to make sure they are properly protected, no matter what happens. So if this story hits home for you, I urge you to take action today. Whether it's setting up that life insurance policy or reviewing your estate plan, don't let your family pay the price of a decision you can make now. And if you found this video valuable, please like it, share it with someone who might need to hear this too. And subscribe for more stories and video and tips on protecting your finances and your future. Drop a comment below if you've got any questions or thoughts, or you have any contrary opinion or any story you'd like to share with us with regards to this issue or any aspect of your personal finance mastery. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. I'm here to help. Thanks for watching. The best time to protect your family is today. Cheers.